All right, we're live again. Or not.
All right, Satan. Hello, everybody. It's me, Satan's worst tenant, because I never pay rent on time. Did you know you have to pay rent in hell?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Make it miserable. And then it's me, Black Tom. Yeah. If you watch the movie, then you'll fucking get it, right? All right, so...
I thought it was a Black Phillip.
Black Phillip. I don't know. Who fuck cares? I think Black Tom is like a cat or something like that in English mythology or some kind of shit like that.
So real quick, welcome to Movie Butter. I'm going to tweet out before I upload this so y'all can know which movie it is. You can watch with us. But for full disclosure, I am 2 bottles into 7% alcohol drink. So I am 14% alcohol at this point, I believe, if the math adds up.
I don't think it does.
Stanley has a brewski in his hand at the moment.
Dude, I'm always drinking. How do you not know this, right? It's part of my blood, boy. So, yeah, okay. So today we watched the 2016 movie by Robert Eggers called The Witch. So, first thoughts, Robinson, what'd you think?
What I liked is the simplicity of it, because I was expecting like some convoluted ending where it's like there was no devil, or there was a devil, or it was all hallucination, or it was all like these parents are horrible. But I just like the simplicity of, yeah, Satan. It was Satan. It was the devil. 100%.
Yeah, he was there. Like, he was there always, right? Like, we don't even explain how Black Tom or Philip got there. He just got there, right? He was kind of he appeared one day. And they're like, God bless it, we got a fucking goat now.
Yes. He arrived with a handful of butter. Would you like the taste of butter?
I honestly have to say, though, like, it is one of those things of, like, how much we do have to take for granted that, like, butter is one of the simplistic things in life, right? So, I like this movie. I like this movie because the set design, the costumes, everything is really authentic to the time. I like it because it has a lot of stuff. If you don't know anything about the history of witchcraft or that kind of stuff, it really does have a lot, and it has a lot of things that if you're someone who's really into colonial history, you'll get a fuck ton out of this, right? So, and I'm not joking, there's a ton of context that you probably missed because you hadn't done this. Because I actually did like one of my college courses was a witchcraft class. So we got like an entire history of like American witchcraft and that kind of thing. And it was taught by one of my professors. And my professor is actually a direct descendant from one of the people that was involved in the Salem witch trials, right?
Wait, how's that possible? His grandmother drowned.
No, because obviously you can trace direct descendancy through the male line because it's always XY chromosome is a mutation, and you only get that from your dad, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. I thought it was good. I liked it. I thought it was great. It certainly is really slow if you don't know or if you're not paying attention to it. Right? But it's good. I liked it. What do you think?
No, I also did like that part about it because, like, I mean, as a Christian, like a modern day Christian, there's a lot of stuff to laugh about in this movie. Like, I feel bad for Caleb, honestly, because, yeah, sure, it's gross. He was perving on his sister, but, like, what is he, like 14? That's, like, the only woman in, like, a 50-mile radius.
He's 14, and his sister is the only other young person out there, and is, like... 2 dipshit like brother and sister twins like that are younger than him are not fucking helping on anything. I got so fucking I got like a little pissed right when like Thomason had to do basically everything and Caleb was just kind of also helping, and then like the other 2 children just like, we're gonna do nothing. And the dad's like, well,
we're literally singing and dancing with the devil.
Well, I guess I better go fucking chop some more wood is what the dad says. Right?
Like, I think I was tipped off to the song, like, Black Phillip, where's a crown? And I'm like, that goes to the devil.
Yeah,
but
dude.
then, like, I convinced myself, they're probably just talking about his horns. But no, I was right. It was the devil all along. Satan.
It was the devil. He's got nothing better to do than to, like, spook up on some family, a Puritan family in 1630. He's just like, I could go tempt the king. I could go do like a war or some shit. Nah, man, I'm just going to go on this farm and just mess with these fuckers, right?
I want this blonde chick to join my coven of older women who are naked and screaming at a fire.
Dude, you know what my favorite thing about this whole thing, like the perception of the devil is? Why is Latin his chosen language? Because you know what I mean? Like every time like they talk about Latin or anything, you see like the devilish is like Latin stuff. Was like Latin created and the devil is just like, dude, this is it. This is the best language of all time. Fuck every other language out there. This is the greatest language of all time.
It's like when a young high school devil put on his buddy's headset to listen to Judas Priest, and he was like, "I like this genre."
Dude, it's the only genre for me. Yeah. I don't know. I thought jazz was the devil's music.
Is it the devil's music?
Well, I think what is
jazz
it?
Was the weed man's music, the pothead's music.
Well, I mean, because what is it, in the 1920s? Obviously, it's some fundamentalist groups kind of talking about that. How it obviously was for racial reasons that they would call it like the devil's music, but the blues, dude. If you like look at any of the blues, most of the songs about the blues are either about trains or about making deals with the devil.
I mean, that is correct,
right? I mean, come on. It's like the best thing ever. I mean, but then again, if you're like a black person whose entire family has like racial trauma, generations spanning, right, that kind of stuff, you'd be like, you know what? Fuck Christianity. These Christian motherfuckers keep using it to like make me an inferior race. Let's just say fuck it and just go be deal with the devil, right?
It's like what Bill Burr said. That's not music. Back in my day, you would dress like a woman and sing about the devil. Now that was music.
Now that was music. That was something. I don't know. Still, let me pull up the thing so we can get on with our fucking recap, right?
Absolutely.
So, have you ever been out with your dad and just talking about sin?
I mean, all the time. I think I remember this one time I was out with my dad. We were in the woods. We were hunting. And he said, "Son, you do know that you were born from sin, right?" I'm like, "Yes, Papa." He's like, "Well, what were those sins?" I think, like, you got drunk twice in your life. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So, in 1630s New England, English settler William and his family, wife Catherine, daughter Thomason, son Caleb, and fraternal twins Mercy and Jonas, are banished from a Puritan colony over a religious dispute. The family builds a farm near a large secluded forest, and Catherine bears her fifth child, Samuel. One day when Thomason is playing peekaboo with Samuel, the baby abruptly disappears. It is soon revealed that a witch has stolen the unbaptized Samuel, killing him and using his body to make a flying ointment. Catherine, devastated by Samuel's abduction, spends her days crying and praying. While hunting with William, Caleb questions whether Samuel's unbaptized soul will reach heaven. William discloses to Caleb that he traded Catherine's prized silver cup for hunting supplies. That night, Catherine questions Thomason about the disappearance of a cup and suspects her to be the responsible party for Samuel's disappearance. The children overhear their parents discussing sending Thomason away to serve another family. Later, Thomason finds Caleb packing to check a trap in the forest and forces him to take her with him by threatening to awaken their parents. In the woods, they spot a hare, which sends their horse into a panic. Their dog Fowler chases the hare, and Caleb pursues him. The horse throws Thomason, knocking her unconscious, and runs away. Caleb becomes lost in the woods and stumbles upon Fowler, disemboweled. He then discovers a hovel from which a beautiful woman emerges to seduce him. Her arm grows withered and gnarled and reveals advanced age as she kisses and embraces Caleb. William finds Thomason and takes her home, and Catherine angrily chastises her for taking Caleb into the woods. William reluctantly admits that he sold the cup. Later that night, as the storm rages, Thomason discovers Caleb outside the home, nude, delirious, and mysteriously ill. The next day, the twins converse and sing songs about Black Phillip, the family's billy goat, and accuse Thomason of being a witch. Thomason attempts to milk the nanny goat, producing only blood. When Caleb awakens, he vomits a whole apple with a single bite taken out of it. Catherine urges the family to pray, but the twins claim to forget the proper words and become unresponsive. Caleb passionately proclaims his love for Christ and dies. William, believing Thomason to be the witch, tells her that she will be put on trial when the family returns to town. Thomason points out William's own sins and accuses the twins in retaliation. Enraged, William seals the children in the goat house. Thomason denies being a witch, but the twins do not answer when asked if they are truly spoken to with Black Phillip. Thomason overhears William breaking down and confess to God that he has been prideful, and that made his family leave the village out of stubbornness rather than sincere religious devotion. Later in the night, the children awaken to see an old woman drinking milk from an nanny goat, which turns to attack the twins. Meanwhile, Catherine has a vision of Caleb holding Samuel. Caleb offers the baby to her and asks if she will look at a book. She chooses to breastfeed the baby, but it's actually a raven that pecks at her breast, leaving her bloody in the morning. William awakens to find the stable destroyed, the goats eviscerated, the twins missing, and an unconscious Thomason lying nearby with blood-stained hands. As Thomason awakens and Black Phillip gores and kills William before her eyes, an unhinged Catherine, now blaming Thomason for the tragedies and misfortunes and accusing of her trying to seduce William and Caleb, attacks her. Thomason kills her mother with a billhook in self-defense. Now alone, Thomason hears chiming and enters the stable, where she urges Black Phillip to speak to her. The goat responds with a human voice asking if she would like to live deliciously, and materializes into a tall, black-clothed man. He tells Thomason to remove her clothes and sign her name in a book that appears before her. Thomason follows Black Phillip into a forest nude, where she joins a coven holding a witch's sabbath around a bonfire. The witches begin to levitate, and a laughing Thomason joins them, ascending above the trees. The end.
And then they all lived happily goat fucking after.
Dude, I don't know. Like, so the entire movie itself, the entire thing, I have to say was actually pretty top notch when it came to like Puritan culture. And it's one of those stuff of like, Puritans 100% believe that nothing bad will happen to you unless God lets it happen. So the whole thing about like when Caleb was asking, you know, what sin did my little brother Samuel, who's a literal fucking baby, have, right? What did he do to upset God so much? And the dad's like, it's not me to decide, right? God just didn't protect him, so he let this happen to
He stared
to
at
Samuel.
your mother's tits a little too hard.
he was
sucking a
he was too greedy. He was drinking too much milk.
Yes, wouldn't save any for us.
Dude, I just, like, it was one of those things of, I don't know if I could live like that. It would be fucking nauseating, like, hearing all that time about, like, oh, God allowed this to happen to you because you're such a sinful little shit.
It's like, God's got better things to do, all right?
Is that so?
I mean, I assume. I don't know him personally.
You don't know him personally?
Just spiritually.
Just spiritually.
Well, yeah, no, that the entire time we were watching this, I felt like... because this is how it used to be. It was all like God, God, God. This happened because you weren't good enough, and it was kind of sad to see Caleb like asking questions, because it's a good question to ask. My baby brother did nothing wrong, so in this religion that was brought up in, where God will like leave you, he'll just let you suffer if you don't please him. It's like, well, what did this literal baby do to
What
God?
did this baby who literally has no control over what it fucking eats, what it fucking does? Like, it's a child, right? It literally cannot move around.
He still doesn't have object permanence yet. He got lost playing peekaboo.
Right? But that's the whole point of it, right? Is that the whole thing of the Puritan life is that if you do something wrong and, you know, it's obviously your fault, if God allows something bad to happen to you, it's not God's fault, it's your fault, because you did something that God just kind of was like, well, I'll take my eyes off you for a second. Black Phillip, don't you dare do anything to these fucking kids, right?
He's just trying to watch an episode of Seinfeld, all right? Leave him alone.
The most sinful thing. Jerry Seinfeld, the most unfunny man in history. I'm not joking. I honestly do think that Jerry Seinfeld is one of the most unfunny people in the world.
Oh, boo, I love Seinfeld. But before we get off on that, what else can you tell me about Puritan culture?
Okay. So Puritans also have this really big idea that the woods are sinful. That the woods are a devil's playground, right?
Wait, really? What's with the woods?
Because the woods are wild and untamed and unnatural, right? So the whole thing about it is that they believe that God make them shepherds of the earth. And so as shepherds of the earth, in order to improve the land, we have to conquer nature, divide it, and produce its harvest and that kind of stuff. So a lot of Puritans, in this sense, were fearful of the woods because it was, number one, unproductive. Number two, it obviously Native American attacks and those kinds of other things would happen frequently to them. But to be fair, Puritans kind of fucked up when they kept attacking Native Americans and murdering them.
They're not wearing shirts. They're covered in sin.
Well, the other part of it is that Native Americans have this like Calvinistic belief, which is God has already predetermined what's going to happen. No matter what you do, it's going to happen, right? So if God has predetermined that you, Robinson, are not allowed to go to heaven, there's not shit you can do about it.
Oh, come on.
Right? And so there's a whole thing of like, you know how like in Mexico, Spain would actually try to proselytize, like go on mission trips and be like, hey, Native Americans, join us. Like, hey, Aztecs, join us or we'll murder you, right? Because we need to help you fight against sin. Well, Puritans did not proselytize because in their belief, if God wanted you to be saved, he would have made you born a Christian. So there's that whole thing of like essentially they're very fatalistic when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like one of the things that I had as a frustration with the mom was the mom kept praying and not doing shit.
No, I didn't like the mom either because she like there was no love until she could hate someone, right?
Yeah.
Because like she turned her hatred towards Thomason at first. Loved everybody but Thomason. Then when she was mad at Dad, she finally showed like some motherly compassion to Thomason.
Well, because she was showing it out of spite to her dad, right?
Exactly. So I'm like, this woman will not love until there's somebody to hate in the household.
Yeah, but still, like the whole thing is that before the, because this is the 17th century, in the 18th century, which is the 1700s, you had this art movement called Romanticism, and Romanticism, they like the woods. They think the woods are like a regenerative force, right? It restores humanity, it restores your kind of thing. So woods for the 1700s was not seen as like a sinful, dangerous time to be around, right? So it's quite accurate that in the 1600s they're just sitting there like, don't go in the woods, Robinson. The woods are an evil place.
That's what wolves are. And bears. And bears.
And witches, apparently. So
I mean, I'll go in looking for a witch. I feel bad for Caleb though. He got
tricked by boobies, dude.
Dude, he got catfished.
He got catfished.
The boner
what do you
that
mean?
killed the man.
What do you mean? Like he got what he wanted.
Well, no, not the right hand.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he didn't see that, right? If that's the potion work, where she just like fucked up the potion, her left hand
I
is
bet
like,
you want to know what's under these robes.
you'll see it. It's grandma titties. But so the other part of it is that let's talk about witchcraft, right?
Okay.
So witchcraft around the
Rock and roll
14th,
music.
15th, 14th, and 16th century, or sorry, the 15th, 16th, and 17th century, they were this weird amalgamation of like Native American folk medicine, European traditions, and African like folk magic, right? So you have these three intersecting courses kind of coming together to make what we call American magic. And so there are things that we're finding in colonial homes and colonial dig sites where you'll find like a sealed up wine bottle that has needles and vinegar or some kind of bullshit in it. And it's because it is folk medicine to prevent witches from coming in. And there's even like, the whole idea with horseshoes. When you place a horseshoe above an iron horseshoe above the threshold to your house, that's to prevent evil spirits from coming in. So a lot of them put that over the door of their barn to prevent any evil spirits from killing their cattle. Right, so
That won't stop a chupacabra.
Dude, there was a archaeological site near George Washington's house, and they found that underneath George Washington's house there were several wine bottles sealed up with needles and vinegar. Right, which means that at some point someone in the Washington household thought that they were being cursed by a witch. So yeah, now. Folk magic, right? Folk magic is all about preventing witches from fucking your shit up, right? So the Germans had it, the Irish had it, the British had it, but in this movie, you do not see this family practice folk magic, and I find that to be quite odd, especially because even the most Puritan, the most fucking fundamentalist people in 1600 society practiced folk magic at some point if they thought they had a legitimate witch. Right?
It's not a sin, it's just decoration. All right?
Well, like,
God
still.
doesn't hate decoration.
Yeah. And so there is this idea that witches are both men and women. They're not just women. So men could be also witches too.
Would they be called wizards or still witches?
No, just witches, right?
Okay.
So witches are just people, according to the Puritans, who practice black magic that serve the devil. So within this gendered language, why do we always think of it as being women? Well, it's mainly because women had no legal rights at the time, and they were always usually like they went through with the killing of witches.
I could just imagine, like, honey, I'm home. All right, cool.
There she is, boys. Get her.
I was like, did you get the vanilla ice cream? They didn't have any, so I got strawberry.
Fucking witch.
Gentlemen, we have a witch on our hands. Witch!
Only witches like strawberry for some reason, which is fucking sucks because I like strawberry over vanilla.
You like strawberry ice cream?
Yeah, dude, hell yeah.
That was this one episode of The Simpsons where Homer's like looking through like cartons of Neapolitan ice cream and like where all the chocolate has been eaten out. Marge, we're out of ice cream.
Yeah, I don't know, but still. So what else about this? So we've gone over the fact that like Puritans were afraid of the fucking trees. We've gone over the fact that like Puritans were uber religious and like witches and what that kind of fear is. But so let's talk about how to be a witch according to Puritan magic, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So according to Puritan belief,
I'm getting naked right now.
According to Puritan belief, women were sought out as witches because women were, quote, the weaker of the sexes. And they were the most easy to trick according to the Bible and their version of the Bible, right? So, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it, right? And the reason that they argue this is because the devil tricked Eve, right?
Yeah.
That he was able to trick Eve really easily. And that, you know, she used her womanly ways to trick Adam into sinning with her. So usually when something bad happens, it's always a woman's fault according to the Puritan, like, dialogue, right?
That's American rhetoric because you can't trick a Latina woman. Mainly because they ask so many questions.
Yeah,
what are
well,
you? I was with my friends. Which friends, huh?
Well, I mean,
Did
it
they
goes
bring
to
their
show you.
wives?
It goes to show you, right? Like how fucking like fundamentalist like the Puritans were when Catholicism is like the more liberal of the two. Like when Catholicism's the more laid back of the two, you're just kind of like
They're at least like, yeah, you can have wine on Thanksgiving.
yeah. Well, the whole fact is that Puritan Thanksgiving would not look like how Thanksgiving is now.
No.
So Puritan Thanksgiving would be we go to church and after church we do not eat anything until sundown because we're fasting and we're giving thanks to God and we're praying. That's it. That would be what Thanksgiving would be like if that was an actual Puritan Thanksgiving.
Let me tell you all this. God wants you to eat, all right? He wants you to eat. He wants you to get fat. That way, in heaven, he can roll you around.
Great. Wonderful for our audience to hear, Robinson. This is Saturday Heresy with Robinson and Stanley.
How's it going, everybody? Did you know
that there's this awesome book that the devil has you can sign your name into, and you can get everything, including butter. That's right, butter.
Did you ever have your biscuits and be like, oh man, I forgot the butter, and then Satan just like appears out of your kitchen cupboard?
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna believe this, bro.
Dude,
But have I got the deal for you?
A ton of fucking butter. Don't worry, that the next family down under is dead, so they don't need butter anymore.
It's funny because like when the devil came out, he's like. She's like, "What can you give me?" And he's like, "I can give you the taste of butter." And you said it's funny how like butter back then was like a luxury item.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, butter not telling you like you want a dress?" He's like going down the list. He's like, "What the fuck do you want?" He's like,
"Would you like to live deliciously in a dress made out of butter?"
Dude, I mean, she probably slathered herself in butter when she was like dancing at it. So, anyways, how's it going is that the devil essentially comes to you, right? And he gives you a book, and you sign your name in the book. It's kind of like contract law, because for some reason the devil really loves contracts.
He's a bureaucrat.
So, when you sign your name in the book, you're not done yet, right? So when you sign your name in the book, then you have to go to a witch's mass where, as the witches are doing their chanting and that kind of shit, you apparently get raped by the devil, and after being raped by the devil multiple times, then you have the ability of a witch. is kind of what the thing is.
And now you can seduce 14-year-old boys.
Dude, it wouldn't be hard, honestly.
I mean, I felt like, Caleb, what are you doing? Don't kiss an... Never mind.
Or what did I say to her in the movie? It was like, Caleb, just go look at two sticks. Or like two,
go look at
two rocks. Yeah. You'd find, just imagine. Use your imagination, boy.
Bro,
right?
he was just desperate for anybody who wasn't related to him.
Dude, I can't blame him, honestly.
Dude.
That would be fucking awful living in that time period.
God, dude.
But still, so, fun fact about this, right? In my history of, or not history of world religions, it was in my anthropology class, right? I took an anthropology class about world religions, and on one of the things we actually got to talk about witchcraft. Do you know where the origin of witches riding on broomsticks came from?
No, I don't, and I
Okay.
don't even have a joke for it, which makes me upset.
Okay, so there is a red cap or a magic mushroom that used to grow up in Northern Europe. And witches and women who were shamans for pagan religions used to actually mash it up together. And then after they had this paste, they would wipe the paste onto this broom handle, and then they would insert the broom handle inside of them. Because it would be quicker, it would be faster, and it would be a lot easier than just consuming the red caps, right?
What was that one thing that you said earlier where it's like, if your husband wasn't satisfying you, you could complain to the church in the town?
Oh, yeah, Puritans.
Yeah.
So Puritans get a really bad rap for being way too fundamentalist, which, I mean, let's be obvious, they were fucking fundamentalist as shit. Ooh. But they had some things about them that were actually kind of funny. Like, they were actually very jovial at times and would tell, like, dirty jokes. Like, their favorite kind of jokes would be, like, sex jokes. And at church, at their meeting house, right, they would have a moment of time after the sermon, after all that church is done, where they would sit there, and then they would come up to the priory, and they would ask the person, the good fellow that was there, hey, I have an issue. And then in front of everyone at the church, at the town meeting, if a woman was not being sexually satisfied by her husband, a Puritan woman could actually go up to the priory and complain about how her husband is not satisfying her in bed and that he's being greedy in bed, which is a sin.
When we met, he said he was akin to a cob of corn. Yet alas,
it is nothing but a baby carrot.
So, like, with that in mind, they rode brooms, literally? Well,
yeah,
no,
so
not
with that in
literally.
mind, they rode brooms in the sense of, like, the drug experience, right? They were flying high with the broom handle, right? And so the kind of legend morphed from there, from them being, like, inserting things to get high to essentially just, like, they ride the brooms throughout
That's
Europe.
the last time I order anything from Kiki's delivery service. I do not.
Kind of brings that whole thing to a new level, huh?
Bro, if she is not wearing gloves, I'm not taking any. I'm not signing for this package, man. Please bring it back.
Dude, I feel like I should probably source my sources when I'm talking about these things. We'll put that into the YouTube video, yeah.
We'll put sources in there for all of you who
Use sources in the description.
Who want to be like, no.
Who want to check out some actual education on witches and that kind of shit, right?
Who believe that Japanese contraceptive was just a communistic ploy.
Ooh, so witches, right? Witches, obviously, they could either transform into an animal of their choosing, but they actually had a familiar. So a familiar is like a demon that transforms into an animal that works for a witch. And how witches feed them is that they had something called a witch's mark. And the witch would usually give them sustenance, something of like blood or that kind of shit. So you can see how the mom, when she was getting her breast pecked out by the crow, that maybe the crow was in fact her familiar, right?
It was familiar, yeah.
Because it makes sense, since familiars feed on the witch's blood, and she was obviously getting bled because, you know, this crow's going to town on that breast. She was, you know, like there, but she wasn't a full witch yet because she didn't have sex with the devil, right?
Of course.
So obviously there's nothing there. But Thomason, I feel fucking sorry for Thomason because Thomason was the most innocent out of all those fuckers.
Yeah, no, all she was just playful. That was it.
Yeah, dude, she did all the work. Like, she literally did everything, right? And that kind of shit. It was just kind of there. You're just like, yeah, No, because she's a woman. Therefore, it fucking sucks.
That's why I never trust twins.
You never trust twins?
Yes. The twins were the real assholes of this movie. They were the real villain.
They're the real devil people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the other part of it
Just
is
like
that
The Shining.
how they also detect witches was that they would perform this thing of like, hey, can you say the Lord's Prayer? And if you can't say the Lord's Prayer, then you were a witch. So when the twins could not say their prayers, right, that was a sign of them being made a deal with the devil.
You know what? I can 100% see Mercy and Jonas being like, yeah, we want some butter.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, absolutely, fine.
Hell yeah.
I mean, they're talking about glass windows being a luxury.
We'll rub that on our corn.
The corn that is like dead and dying and would not sell for anything in that place, like, right? Who fucking cares about the corn?
I mean, back in that day, you can just say that like this rot will make it twice as healthy.
Dude, I don't know. I just didn't think that like the dad really had any cause to be kind of prideful about anything, right?
Well, I guess the only thing I would like to know is like why they left the plantation at first. Because like they had like a religious dispute.
Yeah.
But then he was like, no, it's because I was stubborn.
So, in order to join the Puritan church, there are a couple things that you have to do. The first thing that you have to do is that you have to have an annunciation. So you need to express that you want to join the church, right?
All right, makes
The
sense.
second thing that you got to do is that there needs to be a divine annunciation, which means that there has to be some kind of miracle, some kind of physical showing of God in order for you to join.
Wait, okay, so the first one is I want to, and the second one is God needs to prove that I want it?
God needs to show you a sign or needs to do something holy, right?
What's an example?
So like God visiting you in a dream and being like, hey, plant your crops here, and then your crops grow really
You know what?
tall.
Yeah, no, that's easy enough to make up.
Is right. So then the other part of it is that you have to have another church member actually sponsor you after that and be like, we want this person to be a part of our church.
All
and
right.
then after
makes
that,
sense.
you got to go through the baptism, you got to go through the like church classes and that kind of thing. But not only do you have to pay your taxes, they actually have an attendance log. So you can only miss a certain number of Bible studies or Bible anything per month.
I can 100% imagine, like, if they stayed there, like a dad with with like broken ribs being wheelbarrowed into the church by like the twins. It's like had a bit of an accident,
Yeah.
but I already used my sick days.
Yep. Just fucking sitting there like, yeah, I'm here.
Could you please take my right arm out of my ass?
Yep.
I don't know how it got lodged in there. I can't feel my right arm. I can just feel the ass.
And that is Robinson attempting a 16th century Scottish man.
What accent did they have in this movie?
So the accent that they had were obviously the British, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's British because they
that's
were
correct.
Yeah, because it's 16 because the film, and I looked it up, is 1630, which is just at the end or at the start of the Great Migration. And the Great Migration was the Puritans when they were like, hey, we think that the church is kind of fucking bullshit in England, and so we're gonna do our best to like, purify it, right? And then the Civil War came. You remember Cromwell. Like when we talked about this on the Wolfwalkers podcast, how that Civil War was kind of really brutal. Yeah, the Puritans were basically faced with either leave or get murdered, and so the Puritans were like, we'll leave, and so they left.
I thought they like dying. That way they can go to hell or heaven. I don't know what they wanted.
It's really hard to tell, right? Because they're very nondescript about what they want about this stuff, but still. So
we are at our 30-minute mark, so we're gonna hold. Don't send that bust that nut yet. We'll be right back, folks.
don't bust that nut. Okay, great. Awesome.
All right, everybody, welcome back, and we like to get a little controversial on this show. As you know, in the movie, Fowler, the family dog, was disemboweled. We brought in local dog Johnny Cashman. John Cash, do you have anything to say about this?
Is he just sniffing the microphone?
He's just sniffing the mic. I hope the mic picked that up.
Little baby. Huh, baby boy? Still. Okay. So, I'll go through your notes a little bit, or if you have any questions about like stuff you didn't understand, I could probably try to answer it.
So like that was the only thing in the beginning I don't understand why they had to leave the church.
So it actually happened a lot more often than you think.
Really?
A lot of times Puritans, they had these really strict, really god awful rules that they would have to keep. So if you, Robinson, violated the church law, you got a chance, right? So if you did not repent of your sins publicly in front of everyone, then they would have a meeting, and they would have a town meeting, and they would discuss why you are so hesitant to not repent. And if you kept doing it, then they would exile you. Now you need to understand something here. In 1630 New England, being exiled is essentially being condemned to die.
Yeah, they
So
just toss you out with the bears.
yeah, they're just like, hey, you know, if there's protection in our town, and if you don't want to abide by our town, then fuck you, right? Get out.
No more walls for you.
Yeah. So essentially, they were being condemned to die because for some reason the dad had some kind of thing where he thought that the town was not religious enough, which is fucking insane because they're Puritans, right? So
I see fat on those bones. I demand bones only, or
you're
else
not
you're
working hard enough.
you're
Yeah.
not fasting enough.
You need to go chop that wood some more. But the other part of it is that I would like to say that, like, people, and I've seen this on the movie before, people were criticizing the dad for chopping so much wood. New England homes were famously inefficient when it came to keeping heat in. And so a lot of those things, like the cracks and that kind of stuff, they had to constantly burn wood, and they had to constantly burn wood to keep warm, especially during the winter. So the dad actually chopping wood was a fucking like thing that he had to do because they burned wood all the time. It was literally chop wood and burn it, or fucking die of like cold and that kind of stuff.
I saw it more like as a thing of failure because, like, I mean, as a farmer, he failed because like the crops gone to rot.
But was it really his fault though, or was it the witch?
Ooh,
Or was it the fact that they
correct.
literally had the devil living on their property?
Well, he didn't know that at the time, and as well, he's not a fantastic hunter because, as we saw, he singed his own eye.
Oh,
while
you mean when
shooting
the
a
guy
rifle.
when he put too much powder in the flash pan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And his Thomason calls him out on it. It's like all you can do is chop wood. So I
Right.
kind of saw it as like because I also thought that is a ton of wood. And I thought, oh, it's because it's the only thing he's good at. It's the only thing that brings him calm.
I mean, yeah, right. It could be that it's the only thing that brings them calm, but it's something that has to be done, right? Every single fucking
As
day,
well.
right? They might
As
as well. So him storing wood for the winter, obviously, like him having the entire side where that like wood is over for the house, that is actually pretty normal for Puritan households back then. So,
Also, Black Phillip shanked his ass.
dude, 100% gored him, and then just was like,
Just
great,
threw
I'm
him
gonna
into the
knock
wood.
you into that wood again. Dude, it's so funny how like the devil is just kind of chilling throughout this entire movie. He's just like, dude, I don't know, I'm just here, right?
I think my favorite thing about the movie is that they use like a real goat, which like sounds dumb. It's like they used a real goat. It's like because like it would be so much easier to just CGI it. These days, it's easier to just CGI something like that. But I loved it because like once you realize the goat's the devil, and then you see him like just doing goat stuff in the background. Like for example, when the women were like dancing and cheering around the fire, the goat was just grazing.
I know, he's just kind of
It
like,
was like,
I know y'all are literally praying to me right now, but man, have you tasted this grass before? Just did. The other part of it is like when they call him Black Phillip, right? When you refer to someone as being black in Puritan life, it was usually because they wore black clothing. Because black clothing was a sign of like upper class values, right? So one of the big things about it is that a lot of people in modern times think that when you were like Black Phillip or Black Tom or that kind of stuff, is that they are black, like African American black. When in reality, no, it's just some goth person walking around.
also speaking of fashion,
Yeah.
what the hell were they wearing in the beginning? like everybody was dressed like table decorations, like a black tablecloth, the white doilies.
They look like
around
the
neck.
Thanksgiving. They look like
Yeah,
Thanksgiving fuckers.
they literally look like my table 2 nights ago.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, that is the clothing of the time period, and it's honestly like that's one of the things I have to give up to Robert Eggers is that Robert Eggers actually had historians work with him and try to make this as accurate as he possibly could. I will say that it was really authentic to the time. The only thing that I don't think is really authentic is how they were fucking talking like the King James Bible.
They did that for the audience. They did that for our favor.
Yeah, well, no, here's
because I could barely understand the movie as it was.
I mean, that's why we had to put the subtitles on. I was like, dude, I'm not going to be able to understand this English fucker talking like he's from the 16th century. Yeah.
He had such a throaty voice,
Oh.
but I believe that's like years of chewing tobacco.
That's years of smoking from a pipe, right?
Oh, of course.
Because they didn't have cigarettes, they didn't have chewing tobacco, they just had like pipes, right?
Hell yeah, the classiest of smokes.
I mean, in Virginia, they used to pay people in tobacco because tobacco they didn't have any money, so they traded what was the most valuable at the end, which is tobacco. So
Stop eating the cash. We need to trade that for milk.
Or butter. Or butter.
You get over the devil. Like, if the devil came to me and said, "Would you like the taste of butter?" I'd laugh in his face. I would laugh
I'd
in
be
the
like,
devil's
dude, this
face.
better be some pretty good fucking butter, my guy. Like,
Absolutely. And even then, it's like, what?
it's butter with jalapenos.
You can only get this at restaurants. Where'd you get this, Satan? He's like in a Texas Roadhouse uniform.
His name is Satan.
Satan.
And he's from India. Do not make fun of him.
But like, oh yeah, that's a weak deal. What did he offer? He offered some butter, a
Butter, a pretty dress. Would you like to see the world? And would you want to live deliciously?
I mean, I got Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's pretty good. What are you talking about, Zane?
I mean, we're talking about a time where a girl lived through essentially glass windows or a fucking, like, you know,
Oh yeah, she
rich
was like,
person thing.
Remember when Fallow used to sleep on the floor in
I-
the sun? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's a dog. He can do that outside.
Yeah. Like, literally, like, all dogs do that. Like,
Yeah.
even Cash is kind of laying here right now and just like, yep.
It's kind of dead.
No, Corgis lay on their back to relieve pressure from their spine. So, yeah.
He's got such a long... I've never seen a Corgi before, audience. So, like...
What the fuck are you talking about? Didn't you not take care of, like, the
I took care of
Doyles?
their cats.
You took care of the cats. Oh, they took the dogs with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like, I didn't understand how long the body is and how short the legs are.
yeah, dude.
This thing looks like it's doing a plank 24/7. Like it has the strongest abs out there. It's a goddamn loaf of bread with teeth.
We always actually do make fun of him for being like an overcooked or unevenly cooked bread. Because he's a tricolor, right? So he is an unevenly cooked boy.
Delicious. Also, dang it, there was a question I had.
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot what it was. Maybe it was in my notes because I made fun of their fashion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what was that thing where because the father was talking about like the devil holds fast your eyelids? So sleeping was a sin back then, or
Sloth.
does that go?
It
Goes back to laziness.
It was like to laziness. It's sloth, right?
Yeah, back to work is prayer.
So work because so Calvinism, right?
Yeah.
So within Protestantism, there is this idea what was made by Swiss preacher John Calvin. And let's see, how can I say this without sounding offensive? So John Calvin was a fucking insane person.
Oh, yeah.
John Calvin was someone who legitimately believed that you need to prescribe what's called the Christian work ethic. Essentially that if you complain while doing work, you are committing a sin.
God damn it.
You also need to dress modestly, so you can only dress really in 3 colors, brown, white, or black. You need to live modestly, too. The other part of it is that dancing was a sin, according to John Calvin. And a lot of Puritans actually abided by a lot of Calvinism.
Wait, how is dancing is movement. You could swing a hammer in a rhythm, and that's a dance.
Yeah, so you're sinning.
God damn it!
What do you not
again.
understand about this, Robinson?
Bro? That baby.
This is clear-cut stuff. God does not want you to enjoy anything while you're alive.
That baby was dancing. That's what happened.
That's what happened. That baby was messing with their arms as they're goo-goo gogging, and then God was like, "Sinner!"
He moves too funkily.
Kill it! It is Black Phillip who's influencing him. But still, so, yeah, when the devil, that's line, close your eyes, right? Like, the whole part of it is that the father is expressing very fundamentalist beliefs when it comes to this. So the father is expressing that, number one, that the devil tries to do anything he can to get you to sin no matter what throughout the day.
He's busy too.
Yeah, but the other part of it is that, remember, if you keep sinning in these small, tiny ways, God won't protect you, because God will only let the devil attack you if he feels like it. Which is kind of fucked up if you think about it, right? Yeah. Like, isn't God supposed to be looking out for your every kind of, like, fashion need and that kind of stuff? And God just like, I don't know, he didn't pray to me twice, so, hey, Lucy, you want to go after this bitch? Just
go ahead. So, I told you not to call me that. It's Lucifer. Get a load of this. Gabriel, get over here.
Still, but yeah. Apparently also the devil targeted women, right? Because the women were the weaker sex, according to Calvinism. So
yes,
women...
because Snake tricked them.
Because Snake tricked them. Dude, if a talking snake come up to you and start talking shit, you just be like...
I'd do anything it wanted.
You just be like, man, I have either been dosed with acid or something is not right. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Or, no. Or it's an awesome side quest, all right? Bro,
it's an awesome side quest. I've been isekai'd in the worst possible anime ever. It's called Puritanism. Oh. And, you know, we need to add that to Pretzels, the anime from Will. It's just like, call this, like, Puritan, the anime. And it's just like all like every 30-minute episode is just like the mother screeching sin and the children having to pray for the next 20 minutes.
Bro, if I got isekai'd into Puritan wars, like, you're a sinner. What did I do? You're brown.
Yeah, they probably think that you're like, you know, a native, right?
Probably. My hair too long.
Or because you speak Spanish, they'd just be like, dude, we need to execute this guy. He's like legit like a Spanish spy.
He's a familiar. He's a giant. He is well 190 meters. All tallest man is 140.
I mean, dude, they probably think I'm a witch too because I got fucking runes on all over my skin, right? And
you got a beard.
I got a fucking woman with like devil horns and half a skull, right?
Right on the arm.
And then I got these, like, whatever. They just think that they were devil charms, and I'd just be like, fucked. Like, I'd just be fucked. Like, that's it.
Another thing is, I think you'd be fine. Because let's talk about those guns and how they were the size of Caleb standing on his dad's shoulders.
Yeah, the smoothbore muskets. I fucking love how big they have to be because hunting muskets, literally when they were at war, they would just take turns shooting at each other. Because guns were so inaccurate then. If I had like a fucking musket that was where the barrel was less than 6 feet long, I would not be able to hit the broadside of a barn. Like, I would literally not. Like, it would be luck if I did hit it, right, in some kind of capacity. Have you ever been paintballing?
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't? So, like, when you do paintballing, paintballs don't have grooves, so they don't spin like how a bullet should. So, before rifling became a thing, smoothbore muskets basically acted like paintballs, where they would just, like, go wherever in the fucking general direction you aim them at. So
paintballing is an inaccurate sport?
Yeah, because a lot of them, although they do have rifling now in some of the fancier, more expensive guns. So, because like whenever I fired a paintball gun, I would fire it and then I would see it curve off to like the side or whatever, right? So if I would fire it, it would just go like that because it's spinning, but it's spinning in random directions.
Oh, I see. Because a modern barrel of the gun is a spiral.
So it like spins the ball the way that it should go accurately too. So before rifling was a thing within barrels, they were super inaccurate, and so they figured out that the longer the barrel is, the more that it spins in one direction that you can actually aim the rifle, right? So hunting rifles were super fucking tall. And that's the reason why, like, you stack 2 Caleb's on that boy, you got yourself a hunting rifle, right?
Because you said like they were like 6 feet, and I'm like, we're both 6 feet. So could you imagine a gun that like you could look at it in eye level?
Yeah, right.
I've held a pistol, and I'm like, I can't get my finger through the thing to properly squeeze the trigger. Can I get a bigger gun, please?
And then just give you this fucking hunting musket from 1630 England. It's like, here you go.
I mean, I honestly, like, it goes with my aesthetic.
Here's a Sharps rifle.
Bro, my aesthetic is Monster Hunter armor. That's what I want.
Oh my god, dude. I was telling you we should, like, in the next cosplay event, we just need to get Monster Hunter armor and just, like, walk up and then just have, like, a fake dinosaur that we, like, slit its throat and then just be like, hooray! Now we have more armor parts.
We can dress up Cash as a Palico, what are the cats called?
Well, yeah, because there's Palicos, but there's also the Dogno.
Oh, yeah, in Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, they have
available
the new...
on Nintendo Switch. Nintendo sponsor us.
Or don't. I don't care, right?
No, I do. Don't listen to him. Please don't listen to him.
Still. Okay, so we've gone through basically everything really about this, right? Like, yeah. I don't know, final thoughts?
So, like, I don't know. What I liked about this movie is that it was told like a folk tale, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can 100% see this being, like, told at a campfire where you don't get all the details. You're not good enough for all the details.
Right.
Because, like, and what honestly hit me while actually you were talking about this was that, like, a way to prove if somebody's a witch is if they forget their prayers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the twins forgot their prayers. Now it's like, it's obvious because they were conversing with the devil, who was
right.
Black Phillip's, literally singing songs about him as Black Phillip, like, fucked up the farm.
Yeah.
And,
I do think it's really weird, though. They, like, the kids basically gave in to the devil and then they got murdered by the witch.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you didn't think that they would be, like, taken?
Well, the devil wants titties, and both of those kids were too young.
Well, those kids, one of them was a boy, so he was like, yeah, I don't care.
That's no titties, exactly.
So the devil just wants a really great harem for his harem anime.
Yeah, the devil, like, before killing Caleb, was like, they were, like, rubbing shoulders together, like, listen, I know she's your sister, and I support it. There's going to be an industry for that in the future.
But you need to die.
But she does have great knockers.
Mm-hmm.
The little you've seen of them. Like, that collarbone you saw, let me tell you.
What a sinful slut, right? Oh, shit, dude. But,
like, real quick, I just want to finish this thought before I forget it.
Okay.
I would have never known that if you didn't tell me.
What? About
that people forget prayer when, people forget their prayers when in presence of the devil or, like, when conversing with the devil.
Yeah.
Which is what would make it into folklore, right? And the children forgot their prayer.
Right. And then the father was accusing Thomason of, like, forcing them not to say their prayers.
Because he didn't know any better.
Yeah, he didn't know any better because, like, they were just fucking, like, he's a witch, right? And that's, like, their fucking thing. So...
Yeah, she was just fun. I'm pretty sure I told my sisters I'd eat them at one point.
Man, you know what's actually a great thing I forgot to mention is that there is this tale, right? Or this incident that happened on what we call Great Island in Connecticut. In colonial Connecticut, there was an island out next to, like, it's like 5 miles away from the shore. It's where a bunch of Puritans lived, but there was apparently a tavern, which was a place of sin, obviously, right? Because you got drunken whores everywhere. But the tavern was run by a Quaker. And the Quaker had a really sordid history with the town because he was kind of an asshole. He kept suing people that their property line was not where it was, and that he would actually, like, he slowly but surely sued lots of people to expand his land. He was an asshole, right? So he was a big douchebag. But apparently, according to that, there is a witch who cursed this man and then sent their familiar to throw things at him randomly throughout the day.
Can you believe it? Potatoes everywhere, banana peels.
Right. It's called Lithobolia, and it is called the stone-throwing devil, right? So it comes from this Greek island where, like, there was this thing where they would actually throw stones at, like, false statues, right? But they took Lithobolia, and then in, like, 1670 Connecticut, this guy had things thrown at him just like while he was working in a field, a rock came out of the sky and hit him. Or while he was rowing his boat into the town, right? Another rock threw and like he got hit in the skull with a rock.
And thus, the football helmet was invented.
The other funny thing about it was like he decided he was going to do some folk magic, right? So he got an old shoe, he put ashes from the day into the shoe as there were still embers, and then like lit sage inside of the shoe, which is apparently that kind of thing. Well, as he was going up to bed, the shoe got picked up and thrown at him from the back.
I like that. That's like you really think this is gonna stop me, you stupid bitch? Take it back.
He's like,
oh, this house smells like feet.
I want some fucking wine bottles with vinegars and needles. What can you not understand about this?
Everybody's talking about crazy old Carolyn down the street. She's the only one I like.
Yeah. Another way to detect a witch cake, or to detect a witch, was called a witch cake.
Okay.
So witch cake is you take cake ingredients, and then instead of water, you mix them with the afflicted's urine. So essentially, like if you were cursed, Robinson, it would be in us to find it. We would have to take your urine, mix it into a cake, and then we would have to feed it to whatever animal we think is the familiar, right? So back when Betty Parrish, the kid that got inflicted from the Parrish family in Salem, Massachusetts, right? There was a Native American who was a slave. Her name was Tituba. And she helped another Quaker woman whose name like Goodwife or Goody, like, and she made a witch cake and then fed it to their family dog because they believed the dog was a familiar, right? So the whole idea was that if you fed it to the dog, it would cause like the curse to go back against them, right? But then how would you fucking know, right? Because
I mean, all you did,
you just fed a urine cake to a dog.
This is just a zoophile with a piss fetish. That's all it is.
Right. So
at first he tried making people eat it, but when he realized that,
I was gonna say, I'm surprised the dad didn't do a fish cake for the or a witch cake for this. But then I was like, but what food do they have?
Stand, Caleb, empty thyself into this bowl. But it's mother's cooking bowl.
I mean,
I know what I said. Peace be. Peace be.
They were already bleeding his fucking face too. Like when they're like, oh, we're gonna go to his temple and like make a little cut there. We're gonna collect it with the little blood.
Gotta get rid of the bad blood.
Gotta get rid of the bad blood. Yeah.
Where are the leeches?
Dude, have you ever heard about like humor theory? Yeah, humors. So they believed in old timey medicine that there was this thing called the four humors. So you had
the four liquids of the
body. The four liquids. So you had red
I've
liquid, yellow liquid, green liquid, and black liquid.
And it was like semi-correct.
No, it was not correct at all, because the whole idea from it was that if one of those is more than the other, then you get sick and you get imbalanced, right? So the way to cure that was to drain you of those one things, right? So
what I mean is like, because I was bored and I heard a podcast about this, about old timey medicine. Yeah. And it was like, what I mean is semi-correct is like, because like, if you have diarrhea or something, you got to get rid of the brown liquid. It's a disimbalance, so you need more clear liquid, so they give you water, which is actually true. If you have diarrhea, you should be hydrated, right? So it's like, it's not correct, but they did something right.
Well, the other part of it is that, like, if you're having diarrhea, then you're not going to process water, right?
You're also going to
die. A lot of water, because a lot of them had cholera, or not cholera, but they had, like, sorry, I'm not sure which one it was, but still, there is a disease that, like, it's cholera. No, it is cholera. Or is it cholera, or is it something else? I can't remember. I'll have to look it up later. But still, a lot of diarrhea, there's, like, you can't get water into you fast enough.
They didn't have Pedialyte.
No, and a lot of water caused by drinking bad water, your body shuts down absorption of that, right? To get rid of the water that's bad.
Isn't that funny? Well, like back in the day, diarrhea used to be well, might as well dig a hole for you. To pooping? Yeah, to pooping. The biggest hole we've got. Thanks, Father.
You'll have the last poop you'll ever take, right?
Yeah, but nowadays it's like, god damn it, I need to start eating healthier.
Well, it's because no one expects to drink water and get sick now, because we have like food purity laws and that kind of shit. But still,
Ton of them.
I don't know. Okay, so are there any final things you noticed or any comments you got?
Let me check my notes real quick because I might have thought some stupid. Oh yeah, because the mom was like, "Now go wash your father's rags," and then the daughter undressed as her father. Like, I mean, I get it; it's a nice gesture, but it's like, child off. I can do this myself.
Well, the thing
You
about
only
like the
wish
position,
You wish to touch upon my flesh and seduce me.
dude. Think about the position of women in that time period. I think like house cat was above them at some point.
And now that I think about it, what did they mean by selling off the daughter? Like selling her off to a slave or getting her married to somebody richer?
So what they meant is that it was actually this thing of like when women were turning that age, right? They would usually do arranged marriages because marriage for love
That's what I was
not
thinking. Yeah.
was not a fucking thing. Or
Yeah.
marriage for love was not really a thing until like a popular conception until like the late 19th century. So like the whole thing about her going to live with a family is that she would not only be sold to work as a servant, right, for another family, but eventually there would be promises of her getting married to someone in that family. So Thomason was about to leave the town, leave her home, because she had her first period. So the whole idea is that women were not allowed to have that contractual marriage part of it until they had their first moon. And since the mom was in like bed with the husband, she was like, I have evidence that she's now a woman, right? Meaning,
You kept it.
it
Wash the
was-
sheets. It's fucking gross. Ah.
But still, like, and just so Thomason being, 15, 16 years old, you could probably see how, like, there are, in times of great stress, there are times where women do not get their period early or they get it late because of stress. And since, they're living out in the fucking woods away from everybody else.
She was shoveling hay with a shovel and not a pitchfork.
Yeah.
That like triples the time you're shoveling hay.
Yeah, so like, and getting no help, especially from those two fucking devil worshippers as twins, right? So, here's the great part about that is that Thomason, probably the most innocent out of all of those fuckers, would, I don't know, be okay. Because she would eventually like be a house servant, she would do that kind of stuff, and then eventually she would be like part of that family. So, yeah, man, I don't get that whole thing about like everyone was just blaming Thomason, right? And Thomason was the only innocent one out of all of them, and then she became a witch.
Honestly, I kind of liked how like the mother was like the big villain because the dad was like he had Thomas's back kind of, but only because he was the culprit all along, which kind of ruined it. But
Yeah.
and I feel bad for Caleb because like the bond you have as siblings, especially like the oldest and the second oldest, that's a strong bond.
Dude, what if they represent the sins, right? Think of it
The
like
sin of
big
lust.
brain. Think of the big brain time, right? So Caleb obviously represents the sin of lust. Her dad represents the sin of pride. Her mom represents like what? The sin of wrath,
Yes.
right? Thomason, I'm not sure which one Thomason is, but I know that the twins are the sin of sloth, right? Because no
Absolutely.
matter what the twins do,
They
they're
weren't
always
doing
they're
anything.
not doing anything, right? So
Couldn't even memorize their Bible passages when it mattered most.
I know. And for Thomason, I'm not sure what was it because there would be. I don't know if it's envy. I don't think, and she just got envy, right? Who knows? But still,
I think
what if
that's
they
the
were like
point.
actual sinners, right? Like that sin kind of aspect of the original sins, but still. Yeah, just a final closing thought. I don't know. So why don't we do our rating system? Yeah.
Real
what do you
quick, because there's a little tradition we have on here. But because we just watched the movie and like came out to record this, I kind of had to scramble to find this review.
got? Okay.
But I found a bad review that I personally disagree with.
Please fucking tell me it's from a Christian website.
Flick Philosopher. Philosopher spelled Filo.
Philosopher?
Yeah, look at it.
Flick Philosopher. Okay. Yeah, great.
So, this is written by Mary Ann Johansson. Although we will be ripping your review apart. Thank you for posting this, Mary Jan Johansson. Never let the haters get to you.
Especially us, because I'm about to hate on your fucking review.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, she does say eerie and sinister, operating on a more psychologically insensitive level than a typical horror film. So I agree with that. Blah, blah, blah. Until it tosses all of that out with an obvious, simplistic cop-out of an ending. I can't recall the last time a film of any genre fell down so badly in its final minutes, so thoughtlessly tossed out all the fine work it had done to get there. It was the devil, Mary.
That's literally the point of the story, right? Is that you're not actually quite sure. You're not actually quite sure if it is the devil or if it's in their heads.
Or if it was a witch. But no, it was the devil.
Right. And obviously this witch exists because there are several people who see her.
Because there's a devil.
Yeah. Like, you think Thomason ripped apart the fucking barn herself?
With her,
right?
With her weak blonde hands.
No, I mean, because, like, they didn't have her father's axe was not in the barn. Nothing was in there, right? So, obviously, how is it that she, by hand, eviscerated goats, murdered and disappeared her two, siblings, and, did all that shit, right?
She couldn't even, push off her titless mother. That's why she killed her. She had no choice.
Like, I don't understand how, because it was obviously, it's not one of those things of, you don't know it's the devil, or you suspect it might be something, right? But you're not exactly sure if it's just the family's doing hallucination shit, or if there's something wrong. But it's clearly from the source material that there is something evil about this, right? And something evil is happening. So her saying that this is not this was a letdown and this was a cop-out. You know what the cop-out would have been? If it was all in her head all along.
Yep. It was just a dream.
It was just a dream. She woke up and she was in a hospital in 20th century New York. And her dad's just sitting there reading spooky stories next to her.
And her dad's Guillermo del Toro, just with a notebook writing down all the
Dude, this was directed by Guillermo del Toro. There would have been a fetus
just
ghost.
Flying.
Yeah,
there technically was in the first minute when they we just watched Samuel get bathed.
Yeah,
this movie was dark, but not ooh, it's edgy. I couldn't see half of it.
I know. We had to literally turn the lights off because I was just dude, what the fuck? I know you're trying to be period masterpiece to this, but I can't see anything.
I can't see shit.
I know. I think that's part of the scariness of it, right? Is that if you've ever been out camping or out in the woods before,
so
it is dark.
Yes.
It's fuck you dark. That's the kind of dark it is. So I can get how that is an artistic choice for it, especially because do we ever really see the witches face without any darkness?
No, and we only saw her fake face that you used to come here, little boy, I got
because
titties.
I couldn't even see the lustful side of her, right? Because the lustful side of her, when she had her face on and that kind of thing, because you see her kiss, but I still don't really see any distinguishing features. If you just showed me a picture of the actress who played her, I'd just be I would not know.
Yeah,
right?
They did for her witchy self, she looked like. Yeah, she looked like a Wendigo from the back, but it never showed her face.
Yeah, right? So it's one of those of just I don't know. Plus, why do we just have to be naked all the time? I'm pretty sure what historical witches were dressed, right? They only were naked when they were about to be raped by the devil, which was every Black Sabbath. So, hey, maybe Thomason floating in the air was, her riding the giant dick of the devil or some kind of thing. Giant Dick of the Devil, band name. I'm claiming that one.
What music you do? Oh, polka.
We do country. We do gospel.
No, because the devil's a giant dick.
I know.
Oh no. Oh, I gotta call.
I gotta call the T-shirt place. We made 15,000 T-shirts with giant devil penises everywhere.
I gotta call my bandmate Ezekiel and Jeremiah.
Dude, I really did like this movie. I thought it was gonna be bad. I don't know why.
Here's the funny thing. I invited my sister Mia to watch it with us, and she said, "Nah, I watched it." I'm like, "Oh, what'd you think?" She's like, "It was lame."
It was lame. Tell me she's lame.
All right, I will.
She's still been in town for like a year and still hasn't come said hi. I'm going to guilt her like the Jewish mom she never had. Like, that's the thing I'm going to do. Is just be like, Mia, why don't you ever visit anymore?
Love you, Momo. So, I'm going to give this movie, I think, a strong 3 out of 5. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I'll give it, so for authenticity, I'm going to give this a 4, right?
Nice.
Out of 5. But for entertainment, I would agree with 3. Like, I liked it, but it's not a movie I'm going to own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I watched it, yeah. So
maybe if they turned the lights on.
yeah, maybe they fucking did something. I don't know. Maybe they didn't talk like they were speaking out of the King James Bible. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I can't wait for Princess Peach to be like, Mario, thou have beseech me.
Dude, well, the other part is that apparently Robert Eggers is doing another movie called The Northman, and it's about Vikings. And I'm like, ooh, yes, hell yeah. How is he going to fuck this up? He's going to make it super dark during the nighttime scenes.
Vikings.
We're not even going to put the exposure on our camera. We're just going to turn that bitch all the way to 0. And
it's like, oh no. Mr. What's his name? Roger Eli?
Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers. What is with me in name? Mr. Eggers. I never took the protective cap off the camera. No, you did. I put it back on. Keep filming. I am excited for it because I like the A24 movies.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with Lamb in like a couple of months. I'm interested. Have you seen the trailer for Lamb?
I've not seen it yet.
Oh, so basically like a farming family out in Europe in a language that I can't even... Because like... Yeah,
Watch it be fucking German. You're just going to be like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what it is. I'm Mr. Robinson. I speak only Spanish.
I don't think it's German because like I don't speak French or German, but I know what they sound like, right? Like I can guess. But like this language, I had no clue what it might have been.
It's gonna be like fucking Welsh. Or it's gonna be just like people who speak English but are speaking it with an Irish accent, and
just
like
a Cockney
they're just
accent.
talking out the side of their mouth like any other fucking bloke. Like just like.
So basically, it's like these farmers out in nowhere, and like they have a sheep give birth, where it's like it's like the head of a sheep with the body of a child. And it looks to be like a horror movie type situation, so it might be another devil movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
all right.
suggest watch the trailer.
Just watching. Okay. Well, good news is that we have YouTube literally right outside this like recording studio. So.
And that's what we're gonna do without you viewers
Okay.
now.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Movie Butter.
Movie butter.
Yes, where movies are content and we are butter.
And apparently the devil likes to give us out to like blonde children in Puritan like New England. So.
So watch out because I'll show up to your beautiful 17-year-old daughters and be like, would you like the sound of movie butter?
Dude, think about this, like the final thing that I want to say about this. If you lived during that time, right, and you were a girl and you were 17 and you were getting shit from your mom, shit from your dad, shit from those fucking twins, I would take the deal. I would honestly take the deal, right? I'd just be like, dude, I've been praying to God for like my entire life and it's been shit. What possibly could be worse than this fucking bullshit?
And then again, everyone's dead, so what is she gonna do? Roll back into town?
Exactly, right? Just fucking live out in the woods.
Wolves took everybody. Ah, yes. It only ate the mother's tit. Just like every wolf attack I've seen.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm done.
Night, folks.
Bye.